Okay, folks, you know this horse, and we're moving right along with him. He's got, I think I mentioned before that if I get his feet right, I'll have the horse right. So I'm gaining on the feet. And there's two things you want to see here is I've got him hobbled, and I'm going about hobble training him different than most horses. And it also has to do with a lot of things I do. And in other words, you've seen me have him tied up to pick up a hind leg and stuff. And a lot of horses, I turn him loose in the round pen, but he can't stand prosperity. If I turn him loose, his mind will flip over to flight. And it'll take me twice as long to accomplish anything because I won't have his mind. So I roped him around the neck, and he pulled back against my saddle horse. And he choked. And then he jumped forward. Then I sent him off, and he hit the rope about 3 times from my horse's saddle horn, and then he doesn't want to pull back. That's how come I can get away with tying him to the trailer and tying him to the fence to work with him. So the thing is, the lady said, could you point me to more videos or explain a little bit more about how you prepared him to be tied up? I'm talking about tying his halter up, not his leg. I know Pat roped him and taught him to lead, but not sure what all that really means. But what it really means is that I roped him and he found out where the end of the rope was, meaning he pulled back and that didn't work out real good, so he came forward. All right, then I built on that. And of course, you know I already roped all 4 feet. So roping is a big deal with me to get a horse safe and gentle. Okay, I've said this before. I know a lot of people don't know how to rope. You don't have a saddle horse that you can dally off on. And there's other ways of doing this. But this is how I do it. And as far as finding out other ways, I guess you just go on the internet. I don't know. I'm just sharing with you what I do. And so if you have a horse that's already pulling the barn down, you're behind the 8 ball. You're already in a bad spot because he learned how to pull back, which is a habit. Well, he pulled back. When he pulled back, he was on the end of my lariat. And I can slide rope from my saddle horn anytime I want. 1 inch, 1/4 inch, 3 feet, whatever works to get him right about halter breaking him. And that term halter break to me means that they don't want to pull back. Now, if I get in front of his eye right now and flip this paper, he's going to pull back. Well, that's not smart. I've mentioned I stay behind the eye before several times. So what he's doing now, I'm doing it different again, is he's getting broke to hobble, and he hops around here at the trailer, and it's going to take a while, but he's going to figure it out because I know he's not going to pull back. So he'll get hobble broke over time. And next I'll be holding the lead rope with it tucked in my belt when I unsaddle him, and I'll hobble him then. So I'll build on it. The idea for this way is because same thing. He can't handle being alone or loose. He'll just sell out. And so the next thing that has to happen is I'm going to lead him by the front feet, and I'll show you in a minute. But I got to address some things. And Kabuti is the only way I know how to say it, partner. You're the one that sent the email and put that name on there. And that's the email. And you told me about the YouTube comment. You mentioned that your ancestors had a big ranch on the Grapevine and had part of LA, Pueblo de Los Angeles. Well, that's really, really nice to hear, somebody that has that lineage behind them. And the only question I have is if you live in Castaic, because I did a clinic over there a couple of years ago, and there was a lady whose husband, his people had a Spanish land grant, and I'm just curious if you're the man. And you mentioned about the bandits, which was a big deal. LA never stopped. And I don't know if you know about Vasquez Rocks, but Vasquez was a bandito. Now Leonard got a hold of me on the phone, and of course he's a cowboy, so he didn't leave his phone number, and he just mentioned it was Leonard. but I knew who he was, and he was at Newhall Land and Cattle, and he was the bridle horse man. And he's the only one I ever met that was paid by the ranch to make bridle horses. And he was a good hand with horses and dogs. So Leonard, if you happen to watch this, I know you're in Missouri now, but call me up so we can get caught up and visit, because I'd really love to talk to you.
And leave your number.
And if I'm not home, leave your phone number and I'll call you. How about that? Now, Ethan Smith. I'll just cut to the quick here. I was wondering if you could make a video about how to post in the saddle and trot without being bounced out of the saddle. Thank you. Well, my friend, I don't need to make a video. All you got to do is trot, and you're going to get real tired of that saddle beating you to death. So the farther you trot, the better you're going to get at it. If you want to post, which I do, you pick a shoulder, left or right shoulder, and you can see the shoulder coming up in the air. And if you go up when the shoulder goes up, you'll learn to post. So,
can I also add that people who are learning to post, they try to go up and down, and it's really forward and down.
Yeah, it's almost like 2-point.
You can look up 2-point.
Right, so now there's another lady's worried about my COPD. Well, okay, we've got fires on both sides of us. The one last night went to how many acres? 30,000 acres over the divide over here. And so yes, my breathing, I am having hell with my breathing. And she said it's sad that drink didn't work out. Well, as a matter of fact, the ASEA that I've been drinking for 5 years now is working. My epiglottis was dead and I choked all day long, so I don't choke anymore. I mentioned about ASEA, and I'm not trying to sell it, I'm just telling you because she made this comment. It works. It doesn't cure anything, but it helps everything. So that's the best way I know to put it after drinking it for 5 years. So, anyway, that's about it. So, hopefully that makes sense to some people, and now we're officially caught up on our mail. You know, I've roped the feet on this horse. Oh, and just so we'll save an email, the knot's over here because if things fall apart over there, I can typically get to this one. I don't really want to be standing in front of the horse trying to fix something. Just like right now, I want to be at the shoulder. I don't want to be in front of the horse. If he jumps, I'll just go with him. So now, what I got to do before I ride him, which who knows when, he's got to be able to lead by his front feet for me. If I get him leading by his front feet, left eye, left foot, then I know that the hind feet, they usually take care of themselves. So if you don't have a round pen and you got a worried horse, you need to get his feet right. This is a way to do it without a saddle horse. Now what I want you to notice is how tight this rope is. All this is insurance for me, so I don't have to go all the way to the neighbors to get him back. So I'm going to stay in front of him. And if I have both eyes, he'll lead. Now watch, I'll get over in front of him. Now I ask him, and he makes it. That's both eyes. So what I have to do is separate and get the left eye. So now he knows how to yield to pressure. Now incidentally, because I've done this already, that's how come I'm able to put the hobbles on. Once you've roped the front feet, you can teach a horse to hobble. So I'm out in front. All right, now I change to nothing but the left eye. He wants me in both eyes. So the way to get just one foot in the eye, I'm not pulling on the head yet, is to keep walking in a circle. Now I'll pull on the head to help him move. I've already told you about a horse can vote with one foot. Watch that left front foot. That's kind of what we call a brace. This is you got to be on the money with this exercise. In other words, he's not looking at Deb to be looking at Deb. He's looking at over there because he wants me in the opposite eye of the foot that I've got caught. Now because I've roped his feet already, the reason he's moving now is nerves. So I'll build on that nervous walk thing. Have my loose rope. Now the way you find out how it's really going is you make a left-hand turn. What you got to know is he's basically running off. Because something I say you can't do, I'm doing. I'm letting his eye be in front of my shoulder. Whole different chapter. Has nothing to do with when I talk about keeping their eye behind you. This is about me and this quarter of this horse. So what I got to do is make a left-hand turn. And if he'll come with me without that, then I actually have him. That's the difference. Right there. Now, I'm getting ready to leave to my left. Right now. Now, if you watch his left front foot, this is the left front foot. It's supposed to land like this. His foot's landing like this, which means he's saying no. He is going with me, but he's not landing his foot, yielding to pressure, coming my direction. So I'm physically picking his foot up and putting it out to the side. And that's how bad the brace is. So I've heard people talk about it's in the details. I got to get his feet moving. I'm going to come towards the camera. And you watch where his left foot lands. It should be landing out here. So every time it comes off the ground, I can help it land and speed this deal up. There, now it's landing the correct way. So this isn't that hard to do. If you've been watching this horse, you know he's not settled. He's got fight and flight and really big on the flight part. He just now breathed for the first time since I started. So that's where we're headed. When I'm done, he's going to walk along just like my new dog does and just walks alongside with me. So I'm not there. This is not there. That's what this is I'm showing you. And I'll show you. As I exhale and drop my shoulders and keep my hands low, I'm going to say, let's go. And in my own little world, all 3 feet moved before the left front did. If the left front would have moved first, I'd have felt really good. It just now moved. So I'm telling him again, I'm leaving. Now, I mechanically made the left front foot move. Now, I'm not having to pull so much now. As usual, when I give him that time for me to stop and just start babbling, it gives him time to think. He ain't there. There's no way. However, compared to a month ago, it's on its way. So please, let's be clear that I contradict myself all the time. In other words, I tell you, a horse needs to be an arm's length away. Okay, that's a different chapter. A horse can't go past your shoulder. That's a different chapter. I'm dealing with right now what I've got going of this horse yielding his foot and walking with me. And remember, the way you find out if you actually have it, you make a 90-degree turn. I'm helping him make it. Now I'm going to make a 90-degree turn. If he goes with me, I'm gaining. That's the brace. Now if you got a horse that's dull, which he's not, for those of you that have old Dobbin that's 28 years old and you're wanting him to lead well, what you can do is take the end of your rope and you bring it back here, you'll get him moving. But obviously, Spotted Fever here is not that horse. But I'm trying to help out everybody I can with every scenario there is. This is all about pressure and release and yield. And for this horse, see, if I was on my saddle horse and pulled him around by the front foot and around crawl, he'd do it. But he wouldn't do it for me, he'd do it because he needs to be with that other horse. Always be aware of the eye. He would really like to have me in that other eye. Now his foot's starting to land correct, a little bit correct, like a half an inch correct. So, I hate to be redundant, but you cannot train a horse, but you can outlast him. I already know he's going to make it. It's no different when somebody pays me to put their horse in a trailer. Well, before I leave the house, I already know it's going to load. I know he's going to lead correctly. There's the deep breath. So it's him that has to change his mind. I'm fine. You know what I'm thinking about. So there you go, folks. It's another way to skin a cat.
Can you just mention how that magic rope is made so that people might know that there's a, how clever it is with the ring?
The green rope?
Yeah.
Okay,
You don't have to take it off. I can close up on it.
I'm going to show you how clever this green rope is. Now the bar is not very high around here, evidently. This is a knot tied into a ring. It takes years to sort all this stuff out. But of course that makes this really, really fast. That's how come I can use it. Now, for those of you that, and I'm talking to the cowboys, because the cowboys that I know never hear a word I'm saying. All they're doing is checking the fence, what stage the grass is in. And this is called the brand of the goat. When you work a horse like this one, and if he goes down on his knees because he's got his foot tied up and he decides to pray, that's called the brand of the goat. And I'll just let you sort that out why it's called the brand of the goat. Goodbye.